Crude oil is, in fact, a finite energy source, not an inexhaustible one as many mistakenly believe. Here are the natural English translations for your Vietnamese text. Elon Musk, the world's richest billionaire, has once again stirred up a buzz with his bold claim. Within the next 2 years, the first unmanned spacecraft will successfully land on Mars. 4 years later, a manned spacecraft was officially launched into space. In the next 20 years, a self-sustaining city will be built on Mars. The plan to send humans to settle on Mars will officially be launched. The fans were absolutely thrilled upon hearing this news, everyone eagerly preparing to welcome the launch of the new world. Rumor has it that the first migrants to Mars will start saving money. But wait, how could the tiny humans of Earth possibly survive on their own in a desolate place like Mars? The first issue we need to address is, where do the two most essential elements for human survival, water and energy, originate from? Panic, there. The Curiosity rover landed in Gale Crater on Mars on August 6, 2012. Its primary mission is to study the climatic and geological features of Mars, while also assessing whether the planet has environmental conditions suitable for life, and explore whether Mars could become a suitable planet for human habitation. In 2015, the Curiosity rover discovered that Martian soil contains a significant amount of moisture, between 1.5% and 3%, proving that the planet has enough water resources to support future inhabitants. As early as 2013, the Curiosity rover detected methane around the crater area, though the concentration of this gas was quite low. Natural gas consists mainly of methane and is often found alongside petroleum. In 2019, the Curiosity rover detected an unusual amount of methane in Gale Crater, thrilling the scientific community. Some scientists believe this could be a sign of life on Mars, suggesting that certain microorganisms might be releasing methane gas. However, some scientists argue that under Martian environmental conditions, the likelihood of microbial survival is extremely low. The discovery of methane could be a sign of a massive oil reservoir deep beneath the volcano's crater. In the process of oil and gas exploration, methane gas is a key indicator for determining the existence of underground oil reserves. Wait a minute, isn't oil supposed to come from ancient organisms? Plant remains buried underground over time will turn into coal, and animal remains that are buried gradually transform into petroleum. Isn't that exactly how it happens? There is no life on Mars, so how could oil possibly form there? You may not know this, but in the scientific community, there are currently 2 different theories about the origin of petroleum. These are the organic origin theory and the inorganic origin theory. The organic theory explains that petroleum is formed from the remains of prehistoric organisms, undergoing a long-term decomposition process under high temperature and pressure. This process can take millions to hundreds of millions of years. Over time, organic matter mixes with soil, gets buried under thick layers of sediment, and is subjected to high temperatures and pressure deep underground, gradually transforming into waxy oil shale. Afterward, they continue to break down into liquid and gaseous hydrocarbons. The liquefied portion becomes petroleum, while the gasified portion forms natural gas. Being lighter than rock, they gradually seep upward, accumulate over time, and form oil reservoirs. According to this hypothesis, petroleum is a finite, non-renewable resource. Every barrel of oil used is a barrel lost forever. In the 1970s, the world experienced an oil crisis. At that time, many experts feared that Earth's oil reserves would be depleted within the next 20 years. However, 50 years later, the oil market continues to thrive. Not only is oil continuously extracted in the Middle East, but major oil fields are also expanding in the US, Canada, and many other parts of the world. In just 20 years, 1976 to 1996, global oil reserves surged by 72%, reaching 1.04 trillion barrels. Notably, the Middle East alone, home to the world's largest oil reserves, saw its reserves more than double during this period. Even more surprising is that some oil fields, even after being depleted, have the ability to produce new oil. A prime example is the Eugene Island oil field in the US. The Eugene Island oil field began production in 1973. At its peak, the site yielded 15,000 barrels of oil per day. However, by 1989, output had significantly declined to just 4,000 barrels per day. When people thought this oil field was nearly depleted, its output unexpectedly rebounded in 1995, quickly reaching 13,000 barrels per day, matching its previous peak level. The oil reserves have increased from the initial 60 million barrels to 400 million barrels. Notably, scientists were extremely surprised to discover that the geological age of this new oil is entirely different from the oil that erupted 10 years ago. This indicates that the origin of the new oil is completely distinct. As rapid self-recovery capability come from? Could it be that petroleum isn? Petroleum was formed during the Earth's primordial era. According to this hypothesis, petroleum was formed during the earliest period when Earth first came into existence, a phase scientists often refer to as the primordial era. When Earth first formed, it was composed of accumulated solid materials, including many meteorites from space. Among them, some meteorites contained very high levels of carbon. Afterward, they were pushed deep into the Earth and transformed into sediment. The diamonds were formed precisely from this sedimentary material. When a volcano erupts, a large amount of rough diamonds is pushed up from deep within the Earth. These diamonds are of high purity, composed entirely of the element carbon. To form this type of diamond, an extremely high pressure is required. Such pressure can only be achieved at depths of 150 kilometers or more beneath the Earth's surface. Thus, it can be seen that an extremely pure form of carbon exists deep within the Earth, and it continuously moves toward the surface. However, volcanic eruptions are not the main way carbon is brought to the surface. Carbon dioxide and methane, two gases containing the element carbon, are the primary carbon carriers. They have the ability to transport carbon from deep within the Earth to every corner of the surface. As carbon rises to the surface, hydrogen deep within the Earth also gradually seeps through the planet's crust. In 2018, scientists discovered a large amount of pure hydrogen gas leaking from the Earth's crust at Carolina Bight, USA, with a flow rate of up to 2,700 cubic meters per day. Why does hydrogen gas exist deep underground? According to the Big Bang theory, at the moment the universe formed, only two elements existed: hydrogen and helium, with hydrogen being overwhelmingly dominant. These two elements participate in nuclear fusion reactions within stars, producing various other elements, which can be considered the origin of all things. Currently, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. Next up is helium. When Earth first formed, gravity had not yet emerged, and all matter floated freely in space. This hero gradually emerges from the heart of the Earth's crust and mantle. It will react with carbon dioxide also rising from the planet. Hydrocarbons are formed through reactions with water present in geological layers. Under high pressure, these compounds accumulate in the water-filled cracks of the Earth's crust and gradually form petroleum. Oil will never run out because carbon and hydrogen are continuously released from deep within the Earth. Hydrocarbon only found in organic compounds? No, that's not right. Astronomers discovered that the atmospheres of Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune contain large amounts of methane along with other hydrocarbons. Saturn's moon Tethys also has a dense atmosphere containing methane and ethane. In 1986, when Halley's Comet, which only appears near Earth once every 76 years, returned, its head was covered by a shell as black as asphalt. The researchers believe this is undoubtedly asphalt or similar hydrocarbon compounds. On these planets, no signs of organic life have been detected so far. Therefore, astronomers believe that hydrocarbons are common throughout the universe, not just on Earth. The discovery of methane gas on Mars by the Curiosity rover is important evidence supporting this conclusion. Although Mars is smaller than Earth, its structure is quite similar. On Mars, there exist countless massive volcanoes. When these volcanoes erupt, they release a large amount of lava from beneath the surface, very similar to volcanic activity on Earth. Methane is the main component of natural gas. On Earth, natural gas and petroleum often coexist. Therefore, the Martian crater where a large amount of methane was detected may also contain significant oil reserves. The oil well lies deep beneath the volcano's crater. In reality, about 30% of the 180 impact craters on Earth do not contain minerals, but are instead sites where oil and natural gas form. When dinosaurs went extinct, a large number of meteorites fell to Earth. The largest of these meteorites struck Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, creating a massive impact crater 180 kilometers in diameter and up to 900 meters deep. 65 million years later, a massive oil deposit was discovered deep beneath the mouth of the Chiselup volcano. The estimated reserves here are enough to supply the entire world for 20 years. Why is there so much oil concentrated beneath volcanic craters? Extremely powerful impact force, which created numerous cracks in the Earth. Actually, the issue is quite simple. Petroleum has essentially nothing to do with prehistoric organisms. Goh was a fervent advocate of the inorganic theory. To prove this theory, in 1986, he collaborated with the National Tidal Energy Agency to conduct an experiment at Lake Zishan, the largest volcanic crater in Europe. Why choose Lake Zishan? Because the lake bed is formed from granite, completely free of organic matter. If oil truly formed from sedimentary organic matter, it could only exist in shale or sedimentary rock layers, and not appear in granite. The result was exactly as Goh predicted. After just 4 attempts, the technical team successfully struck the oil deposit. Although only 80 barrels of oil were drilled, failing to uncover the large deposit Goh had hoped for, the organic theory was still flatly rejected. The organic theory immediately countered, arguing that there were only 80 barrels of oil. Who knows if it was just lubricating oil from the top of the compartment? If they truly had the capability, they should go find an oil field and prove it. Such an oil field has indeed been discovered. In 2006, a massive mixed oil and gas reserve was found in Karamay, Xinjiang. This supergiant oil field has reserves of up to 8.6 billion tons and lies on a volcanic rock base. According to organic theory, volcanic rock, similar to granite, is not the type of rock capable of generating oil. However, the organic theory still has one final unsolved mystery. Why does petroleum always contain organic compounds unique to living organisms? Bacteria that live in petroleum. Petroleum contains organic compounds derived from these bacteria. Since the 1970s, this type of bacteria has been discovered in hot springs with temperatures reaching 160 degrees Celsius and even in lava flows at the ocean floor. In the October 21, 1993 issue of the journal Nature, Dr. Stoltz and his research team from the University of Regensburg, Germany, announced the discovery of high concentrations of hyperthermophilic microorganisms in underground oil reservoirs beneath the North Sea and Alaska. These microorganisms appear at a depth of nearly 2 miles, where the oil temperature reaches 230 degrees. Before, no one could have imagined that life could form under such extreme conditions. After answering the question, Cui Fa Co also delivered a powerful axe kick. They stated that oil fields around the world often contain significant amounts of helium gas. High helium concentrations are typically associated with methane gas. If the methane originates from prehistoric organisms, analyzing organic snow would be unreasonable, as helium gas is harmful to living organisms. If a certain amount of helium is inhaled, the person may experience nausea, vomiting, or even fall into a coma. Therefore, the concentration of helium in living organisms is typically very low. So, where does the helium gas in oil fields originate from? But this can be easily explained by the Big Bang Theory, since helium and hydrogen were elements that existed from the earliest stages of the universe. As early formation, a significant amount of helium existed and was retained in the planet. As they rise to the surface, helium and carbon combine to form petroleum, while the inert helium gas alone escapes into the atmosphere.